Okay, let's do another video. The title of today's video: the insanity of separating ourselves from the sacred. You've heard me talk about this many times. Nevertheless, there is a quote or a post that I did sometime last week from Peter Kingsley's Catafalque, Jung and the End of Humanity, which I shared. So I want to read you from that, and as always I'll make my own comments as I go along. Yeah, so let's have a look. This is my title to the quote. The spirit, it exists to take us into places where thinking becomes useless and even our cleverest ideas are left behind. Exactly, because where you're going, what you need to experience, and where you're going, you can't. Thinking is not going to get you there. It's intuition that is going to get you there. Yeah, I've spoken about this many times. So here we go. Corbin, describes how Jung's presence produced an atmosphere of absolute spiritual freedom in which all individuals expressed themselves without the slightest concern for any official dogma, and with just a single goal in mind: to be themselves, to be true. I'll explain that more in a moment. This too deserves pondering very carefully. To be true, not to be clever or entertaining or even inspiring, but to be true was no easy or casual matter in the eyes of Corbin. It means far more for him than all the glib, superficial talk one tends to hear nowadays about me living my truth and you living yours. Just as truth for him meant infinitely more than some arbitrary collection of facts. To him, truth, as well as the act of being genuinely true, are timeless and sacred realities that turn our whole illusory world of appearances upside down. Yeah? Then throw us off our comfortable chairs by showing us we are not the personalities we imagined we were, pointing us back to our true origin, our spiritual source. I'll explain a bit more in a moment. I'll just read this whole thing. Of course, words like this can sound very inspiring, but that too is just a part of the illusionness, because we have managed even to turn spirituality into an illusion so we can protect ourselves from the reality of the spirit. I like Peter Kingsley, that's why I like to quote him now and then, because he writes, this is what it means by being truthful. You're not writing what people want to hear. You're not writing or speaking what is politically correct. You're not doing what I call the love and light, the nauseating nonsense that is being spewed out by the spirituality, community out there. The constant droning about love and compassion, which are important, but most of these people that are spewing all this all the time, the moment I get really frustrated about this, because I've experienced this firsthand many times, is that the moment we get this opportunity, we're programmed from the outside by the TV, by the network stations, by news channels, by our politicians, by your friends, your neighbors. The moment you're told to take sides, we are the good and they are the evil, people automatically switch. The love and light and all this oneness and compassion is completely left behind, and they switch and they start to demonize other people without even knowing anything about the other people. The dividedness that is being shown by these so-called spiritual people, that's the masculine mind, that's the intellect which divides. You must always have an enemy. when you understand psychology, that the dividedness is built on the premise of good and evil. The one is good, the other one is evil. One is the superior people and the inferior people. That's dividedness, the black and white, the good and evil, the male and the female, all dividedness. So I get really upset with this, with the spiritual crowd. always spewing love, light, and nature needs to be saved, this needs to be saved. And the moment the first opportunity they get to actually demonize someone else, bang, they switch into dividedness. Their own inner split is not resolved. The split that we're talking with, the inner split with the spirit, is not resolved. This is what we have. We have this constant demonizing of others. There must be an enemy. Yeah? So that's what I wanted to talk about. Just add to this. Of course. So let's get back to the quote to Peter Kingsley. Of course, words like this can sound very inspiring, but that too is just a part of the illusioners, because we have managed even to turn spirituality into an illusion so we can protect ourselves from the reality of the spirit. Our modern democratic age has manufactured a personal spirituality to meet everyone's needs, which is absolutely guaranteed to be clean, sweet, peaceful, polite, positive, comfortable, reassuring, unthreatening. I call all of this nonsense, this nauseating nonsense, love and light. And social media is full of this. The people that are writing from the spirit, the real thing, like the depth psychology and so on, like the mystic poets, then that is not mentioned in there. I'll give you a few examples in a moment. But what they are talking about are archetypes. They are talking about the mythological level of human psyche, the quest for the recovery of the soul. And then they press the right buttons. They say it in such a way, they confront you with the fact that you haven't healed your own split. That's the truthfulness. That's the truthfulness that Peter Kingsley is writing about here. And Jung did that by, his whole work was collective unconscious. He wasn't concerned with your personal spirituality, my truth. There's only one truth, the underlying truth that underneath all these appearances, that we appear different on the surface, underneath all this, we are all rooted in the same archetypal ground. Yeah? We all have the same gods living within us, if you like, the same mythology, the same story. It's the story of the quest to become whole, to recover the soul, to recover the godhood. Yeah? So it's none of this new age nonsense. Agreed, guaranteed to be clean, sweet, peaceful, polite, positive, comfortable, reassuring, unthreatening. Now, the reason that a lot of people are writing or talking like this is because without going along with the narrative, the approved narrative, you're not going to sell any books. You're not going to be invited to speak publicly. You're not going to have followers. You're not going to be liked, because it goes against the narrative. Even spirituality has its own narrative. If you are polite and unthreatening and you wrap up everything in wool, people love you. But if you confront them with the fact that they still haven't healed their own split, they will hate you. Ask me how I know. But that's the work. It's not to reassure someone's unconsciousness. You have to point out that there's still work to be done. Hard work to be done to reconnect with the spirit, with the sacred. Yeah? And then something else happens. You're talking a different way. I'll show you in a moment. And instead of leaving the sacred well alone, which would have been the wisest thing to do, we domesticated it no less effectively than we managed to domesticate everything else. Trivialized and thoroughly prettified it. Agreed on making into something politically correct. Exactly, that's our spirituality in a nutshell. But this happens to be almost the exact opposite of the ancient understanding, which is that spirituality and the sacred offer profoundest challenge to our complacency. I was just saying that, yeah, as well as presenting the most radical threat. The spirit is not only there to make us think deeply, it exists to take us into places where thinking becomes useless and even our cleverest ideas are left behind, because you have to leave the thinking behind. Your head has to let go and something else takes over. That's your intuition, the heart, the intuitive heart. I don't like to use the word heart because people straight away think it's feeling. Feeling is important, but feeling creates more, like I said so many times, relationship of one-on-one. Outside relationships of one-on-one, you know, with your friends, family, and so on. It's your intuition that builds a friendship or relationship with the inner source, with the spirit, with your own sacredness. Yeah. So I'll read you a few other bits and bobs regarding this, that, you know, when you have recovered spirit and you speak from it, that's the real way that the mystics and shamans communicate. They don't speak from they're not asked to speak from their own ego, from the what they've been programmed to believe, you know, the love and light spirituality, as I call it. They are asked to speak from the spirit, from the soul, directly, to be a voice for the sacred in their community. And that is not this, you know, politically correct sounding, you know, wrapped up in woe, nauseating nonsense, as I call it. Yeah. So this is Hafez. You know Hafez. Sometimes you just go Hafiz or Hafez, the Persian poet, mystic poet. Yeah. Oh fool, do something so you won't just stand there looking dumb. If you are not traveling on the road, how can you call yourself a guide? He's not mincing his words. Like Peter Kingsley in the other quote. I'll put all these in the video description so you can read it in your own time, in your own, so you can, you know, have a better. Under me reading it to you, you know, I'm not a great reader, so but you'll get that, so you can read it for yourself. But you know, he's not mincing his words here, like Peter Kingsley. Jung didn't mince his words as well. That's why a lot of people think that Jung was loved. He wasn't. A lot of people hated him because he was pointing out their own, they haven't been healed yet, that they still have the split. And the split always shows in people that are taking sides. These, we are good, they are evil, we are the superior, they are inferior, you know, we are the this and they are that, and always demonizing, always duality. So if you see people that are claiming that they are so spiritual, love and light this and compassion this and this, and as soon as the newspapers and the media kick into overdrive to demonize someone because they want to go to war, you will see these people are going after the other person or the other people, because, you know, their own split is projected onto the split in society. Okay, so more of Hafez. This one is entitled "Tired of Speaking Sweetly." I like Hafez. Okay, love wants to reach out and manhandle us, break all our teacups. Talk of God. If you had the courage and could give the beloved his choice, some nights, he would just drag you around the room by your hair, ripping from you grip all those toys in the world that bring you no joy. Love sometimes gets tired of speaking sweetly. Yes. And when it rips to shreds all your erroneous notions of truth that make you fight within yourself, dear one, and with others, causing the world to weep on too many fine days, God wants to manhandle us, lock us inside of a tiny room with himself, and practice his drop kick. The beloved sometimes wants to do us a great favor, hold us upside down and shake all the nonsense out. I hope it does for most of us. But when we hear he is in such a playful, drunken mood, most everyone I know quickly packs the bags and hightails it out of town. Yeah, that's how this is. The interpretation is probably slightly wrong because from Persian to English, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. The inner self, the spirit, the soul, does not talk softly. If you ever really had a relationship, or if you had guidance, or if you had instructions told to you, especially in dreams, intuition is a little bit different, but in dreams it's direct. And there is nothing there that is going to go, oh dear, are you okay? Do you want me to speak to you softly? Nothing like that. It is direct instruction. Bang, 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 bang. This is where you are. Fix it. I remember years and years ago, I stopped being creative, intuitive, and I'm just lying there on the couch and what the hell, nothing is flowing. In that space when you're falling asleep and you're already in the dream, but you still hear what's going on outside. At that threshold, that's the threshold that I'm talking about. If you put yourself into a trance state, intuition is that's intuition. You can hear what's going on within you, the inner voice, but you can still know what's out there. You're in the both worlds at once. And the voice said, Marek, clear your head, focus on your intuition and get involved. That was it. There's no, oh dear, are you okay? Do you want me to bring you a cup of tea? No, there's none of that. There are many examples where when I've worked with people, myself, I've shared with you many of mine, but there are many examples where I've worked with people. It's exactly the same. The voice it's a direct voice. It's not, it doesn't speak in, let's go and, hug trees and things, as nature is important, but it's not like that at all. It's a, spirit has its own agenda, and its agenda is to recover its importance to you and to your community. That is to say, to heal the split between you and it and the spirit. Then once you have that, you become whole. Then you can become an example to others, help others to do the same. That's healing, that's redemption. Then you live in both realities at once. You live in this reality as a voice of the soul, of the spirit, with one eye looking inward to instructions from it, and the other eye looking outside how to communicate those instructions. You communicate it into English. If you're Russian, you communicate into Russian. If you're Chinese, you communicate into Chinese. If you're Spanish, you communicate into Spanish. That's your community. Excuse me. But you translate the language of the soul into understandable language for your community. And it's not about being politically correct. It's not about being nice. How it sounds, how it wants. It's about shaking people up, shaking them awake that they haven't healed the split. So that's really important to understand. That I see this nonsense on social media every day, and it does grind on my nerves. Rabia of Basra, I have shared with you this before. How long will you keep pounding on an open door, begging for someone to open it? She's not asking you, oh dear, do you want me to bring you a glass of wine? Are you okay? She's telling you, this is how it is. This is where you are. You better do something about this. It's exactly the same as instructions you get in your dreams. The soul, the spirit, is not concerned about upsetting your morals or upsetting your beliefs or anything. It's going to say what it needs to say to wake you up, to shock you into action. And that's when you know, like Peter Kingsley writes, the way he writes. I think from reading, I'm reading it again now. Peter Kingsley Kataf, okay. He says himself, I think he was invited once to Erroneous. Is it Erroneous that in Switzerland? Oh, I can't remember the name. Where all the Jungians gather and all the big wigs, the spiritual big wigs gather, and he gave talk the way he talks. You know that most of the people that are there, they haven't even themselves healed the split with the spirit, and they think that they're so spiritual. And he said himself he wasn't invited again. And that's how it is. Because if you don't follow the narrative that it's approvable to the others, to the ears, they're not gonna like you. You're not gonna, like I said, you're not gonna sell books. I don't sell books that much because it's confronting, too confronting. People don't want to be healed. They want someone else to heal. They don't want to heal themselves. They don't want to listen to the spirit of the soul to help them heal. They want someone else to come and heal them. That's why drugs are so popular, because you take the drug and you're healed. You don't do it yourself. You don't take the inner medicine, you take the outside medicine, and that makes it better. It's quicker that way. You don't have to take responsibility for your own healing. That's the real trouble, yeah? Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I'll leave all the quotes that I've shared with you today in the video description, and until next time, I'll see you.